Morning good to all our Jasiri fam out there. You're definitely tuned in and you're in the right place to kick off a insightful week of conversations and bold perspectives. Now, of course, it's Monday, January 2025, and as always, we're here to spotlight the stories and issues shaping our world. And this week promises to be impactful, with today us driving into a conversation that matters. And of course, it's what we do almost all the time, from pressing national debates to inspiring stories of change makers. Of course, you know you need to stay with us to bring you the depth, context, and clarity you need to start your week informed and empowered. Let's get right into it. Welcome to Jasiri.
All right, ladies, you know I'm never serious, so what should we do first? Should we laugh demurely, or should we come out guns blazing? Boo, 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 boo.
Pa, 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 pa. Pew, pew, pew.
Yeah. How?
I never laughed demurely.
No. You laugh francophonely.
No, I laugh loudly.
Not really. You laugh like a lady. You actually laugh like, you know, those foreign girls.
But she laughs in foreign languages.
Yeah, you do laugh in foreign languages.
She laughs in a video.
Oh, you know, come from.
There shall be laughing in video. There shall laugh in
If you
pigeon.
really know me, how do I laugh?
Your laugh is soft.
Giggles.
My laugh
Yes.
is soft.
Yes.
No.
Were you not
Our
picking
laugh is soft.
cricket?
No, her laugh is soft.
No, it depends on...
No, she has this girly laugh.
Do the same thing, but it's not soft. So anyway.
No, her laugh is soft. You don't know her. What do you know?
When you're just saying, and then when she first started, you're joking.
Well,
it's never soft.
it might be a bit, you know, it might have a ring to it, but it's still girly.
My laughter depends on who I'm with.
Of course, you are razzing everywhere.
Yeah, more like that kind of thing.
Well, you should see her, but she can be demure if she wants to.
I can be if I want to. I can.
Let's give you the choice.
Okay,
God,
God
me, I'm
knows
going
you
to
laugh.
laugh.
We should laugh first.
We're
should
serious,
laugh,
and
because-
see, I think it's become like a pattern. On Mondays, we're like, almost with quasi-trepidation that we sit on this table, because we're talking about something heavy. We'll not be entering if it's not politics or the budget, it's the tax or the something. So it's already heavy enough. So please.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sigh.
Since you want to laugh,
The word.
the burden is on me. No, it's not. It's not a burden.
Drop the joke.
The responsibility is on me. So I would say that you missed all the fun on Friday. Was it Friday?
Yeah, Friday
Tolu was the real definition of Tony on your own. You know that? Yes. Tolu was literally Tony.
Oh my God, you missed Kathy.
So we took on the marching challenge. You know the marching challenge? Like march on a
Marching
spot,
on the spot.
kind of thing. Oh my God, it was hilarious.
Why didn't you just wait?
Everybody.
Why?
No, because we hadn't been saying
We
we
need
wanted
to
to
know
do it.
We existed in the moment.
You will see if you don't end up turning on your own.
It was in the moment.
We made a video.
Cameroon.
We're going to show you a video. Don't worry. It was hilarious. Really.
They all thought that I was going to lose. But my God,
Who won it?
fought me
Actually, I
for the
thought, you know,
battle.
I could.
I actually thought Lola was the first one out.
No, but technically, I wasn't completely out of the boxes.
If I had not,
If I hear,
what had happened to me,
let's
I had not
capture
known when it happened to me.
No, but you know, I was going forward and back,
But
sideways and back.
Watch this video well, and let's see where your feet were.
Catherine,
Just watch.
Judge.
the shortest person won.
Let's see this.
Who is the shortest person?
Yes.
3, 2, 1, march.
Please don't let my enemies win.
My enemies will
No, don't let my enemies
I feel like I'm going forward.
Don't let my enemies win. Don't let my enemies win.
You are rejected.
Hey, Jesus. Give me this one.
Who sounds like they are you funny?
What did they say about me? What did they say about me?
I don't think it's wrong.
What did they say about me?
I feel there's something's wrong. Let's why am I hearing your voice? Why am I hearing your voice? Jesus, I don't know where I am.
I feel like you're falling down. Are we done?
I just knew Tolu's voice just just kept going farther and I'm like,
I would have thought that
going.
I would have felt that heels will help you get stay on the
I
balance.
think
Thank God.
No, they're
I think
harder.
for you were safe. You were safe in your mind. I think you were calculating.
I was singing.
Because you were not.
Oh Lord.
She wasn't lifted too high,
I do know another thing. She was concentrating on herself. My husband told me once I started concentrating on blessings.
On my listen to my voice,
I
because I
focused
could
on
hear
my
how
focus.
going.
That is my goal. My thing this year.
Who were you matching to?
I don't know why I was
You were
watching
like,
that.
yeah.
So no, but from the games I've seen, right, you have to lift your legs well.
Friend is a lie.
Right. So it was a whole lot of work, to be honest, because I was trying to, as I was going forward and back, sideways and back.
It's obvious that once you blindfold me, my equilibrium, my sense of direction is gone. It was ridiculous.
No, you need to come
But you will do your own.
to study.
Don't worry.
Fast now.
The tape is still there.
But do you know if there's anybody we should never listen to about challenges is Tolu? How many challenges did we want to do in the
No,
last
so the thing
1 year?
about Tolu is once she's ready for a challenge,
She will
you
go
all
all
will
out.
do a
The thing
challenge.
is, I'm the one who bought the tape. If you guys want to do the challenge, what do you
no, but we've been talking about other challenges.
Tolu ran to that challenge
But
level.
if you know what,
Tolu says she doesn't dance.
No, there are other challenges
But
there.
if you put the ring light in front of me, you say we're ready to go. I will do it.
Okay,
you
no,
guys
no.
kept using word of mouth.
So bring your ring light. Just tap it in front of
You
Tolu.
kept
And she's
using
coming to
word
the
of
office.
mouth.
Just go to her car. Tolu.
You kept
Ring
using
light.
word of mouth.
Right.
Word of mouth
Okay,
doesn't
so
work.
we do things
I actually think
Okay.
this one for me, I think everybody should take a cue from us ladies and do something fun for themselves.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's good to laugh at yourself.
Yes.
Don't take yourself too seriously.
Some people wouldn't. I'm not sure. Some people would struggle.
Yeah, they can't
Let's give
just
ourselves a challenge. We'll hop on one challenge per week.
Coleto yen.
Yes. I thought you wanted to do something.
In a month.
We will try.
We'll try.
In a month, we're quite busy.
It's my
I know
responsibility,
the
don't worry.
Gen Z thing that is going on with you, but it's
You needed to see how seriously Tolu was putting those tapes on the floor. You will know it's not a Gen Z thing.
Let's take a quick break because we have another story because somebody else came out, guns blazing. Pew, 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 pew.
Oh,
Did actually not mention any names. Let's
We all know.
Wait, we'll take a break and we'll come back and get into that story after this. All right, so now the fun times are over. We eased you into a new work week. Let's get into some serious matters. We are now in season 3, episode 5, I think, of the Kemi Badenoch Nigeria reality show. Because over the weekend, some statements that the first black and female leader of the UK's Conservative Party made in her first speech of 2025 went viral in Nigeria. Let's hear what she had to say.
Why does this matter so much to me? It's because I know what it is like to have something and then to lose it. And I don't want Britain to lose what it has. I grew up in a poor country, and I watched my relatively wealthy family become poorer and poorer and poorer, despite working harder and harder as their money disappeared with inflation. I came back to the UK, age 16, with my father's last £100 in the hope of a better life. So I have lived with the consequences of terrible governments that destroy lives, and I never, ever want that to happen here.
Now, she actually didn't say the word Nigeria or the name Nigeria in this speech, but we all know that once again, she was talking about
Nigeria.
us. Ladies, I leave it for you. I went to look for the entire speech, saw the audio, and also read the script. Yes, she did not mention Nigeria. So all the headlines you've been seeing that are quoting her saying Nigeria destroys, I think it says Nigeria destroys families or destroys people. It's not a direct quote. I
It's
just
not a
wanted to say
direct
that.
quote. I know
Continue.
everybody. We can infer, of course, we know where she's from. We know where she said she left at 16. So, but the thing is it that this is like the bedrock of what she is?
Yes. She's an anti-immigrant immigrant. Well, she's not an immigrant because she was born there, but her spiel, her foundation, her platform is being somebody who doesn't typically look like the UK, sound like the UK, have a name like the UK, but being anti-immigrant.
Well, that seems to be very pivotal. We can see that in everything that she's doing, that is where she's driving at. It's just unfortunate that she's from us, and everything she does, of course, throws mud back in our faces, like driving a car through mud.
Yeah.
Even though you don't intentionally want to, like, splash anyone, but it's a consequence of revving your car on the spot. This mud splatters everywhere, and we keep having to wipe the mud off our faces all the
Every
time.
time, okay.
Honestly, it's becoming very tiresome.
So I would say that I don't think we should take the bait, because I'm sure she knows that the plan will be to come for her, whether or not she mentioned, and her defense would be, she didn't mention the country. I feel like this is not the first time people are rubbing the mud in our faces. We've been wiping mud off our face for the longest time. Let's just continue wiping, no matter where it's coming from, because obviously this is what she thrives on, right? The fact that she keeps emphasizing, the country is poor, the country is this, they made her poor. That's what she basically is saying.
Yeah.
So at this point, let's just not take her bait. I would strongly say leave her alone, leave her be. In fact, I feel like her relevance is tied to the fact that we keep coming after her and keep giving her a name. So at this point, just let her be, let her say whatever, pretend like you didn't hear, because at the end of the day, I wouldn't say it's true, but we've heard stories about this every other day. We hear about how bad Nigeria is, how bad the government is. We say it, they say it, so she's not so special for saying it. So just leave her be.
If only wishes were horses, we would all ride. I wish Nigerians could leave her be. I really wish that we could remove ourselves from that and not take the bait, like you said. I really wish so, because truly that is what's fueling her relevance. For me, I think she's weeping more than the bereaved. I think she's being more British than the British. I feel she's overdoing it. And for Oyibos, we all know, once you put yourself out there, they're also looking at you and saying, if you can throw your home country under the bus, no matter how bad and terrible your country is, now there you from, come my sister. So if you can do that so easily, they're looking at you and wondering how to use you more.
Valid.
Yeah, how to use you more for their benefit. And then when you're done with, my sister, you're not going to die there. You will still come up for the, when your tenure is done and you now look at it, and the internet never forgets. Just pray. I just hope that Kemi prays and is ready for. Listen, that one day these things don't come back to haunt her, because Nigerians don't forget the internet.
No, I don't think they'll come back to haunt her, and I really don't think Kemi Badenoch is going to have a come to Jesus moment, because she's being platformed, she's been rewarded for the rhetoric, for the anti-immigrant, anti-African, but because it's not only Nigeria, she takes pot shots at anti-African rhetoric. She's been rewarded for it. So I spoke to a few journalists in the UK, a few black journalists in the UK about this situation, and a lot of them, the consensus is, one, she hates herself. If Kemi could literally divorce herself from her Nigerian heritage, remove the Nigerian blood in her veins, she probably would. And somebody else said that she's a white supremacist in black face, that she's cosplaying. So, and what she also doesn't understand, a lot of people, I think one of you said it, is that they're putting her there for a purpose.
Of course.
They're using her for a time. And it's not to say immigrants or people or first generation people who are the children of immigrants who then become the born in country people can't want to disassociate, but your own is too much. Why is it always us? Somehow, either Nigeria enters your mouth, or somehow you're talking about us in a literal or figurative way.
It's like someone who can let go of their toxic
It sounded like it's toxic ex. Bitter relationship. Yeah. You said we've done nothing for you your whole life. You said that destroys. It's okay. Stop talking about us. And I think I will agree with Blessing. On this, I sincerely hope that the government does not respond.
Honestly.
You do not need to respond to her. It's also a diplomatic issue. She is the leader of the UK Conservative Party. There's a lot of diplomacy that needs to be involved in that kind of position. But let's not also forget, I'll say this again, we've seen a lot of nationalistic tendencies coming about in the European Union, in America. Countries are becoming to look more internally. They're saying that if you're immigrants or you're coming to this country, you need to assimilate to our culture. We cannot continue to give you ground for you to always do your own culture when you come to us. If it was that simple, you should have stayed where you are. So she's a product of the time. She's being rewarded for her rhetoric, and for them, she's a necessary piece of their puzzle.
Do you get, because it's just
remember pieces, period pieces.
Yeah.
There's always someone who's like the snitch.
Who plays the
snitch, and of course,
it just as Tony was explaining that, it just came to me
this thing Tony said, it's so, I would point a story, I would send you a story, something about Denmark, when she talked about them wanting you to take their culture and they're not taking their culture. There's an Inuit woman that they said they've been taking her children off her. She had just had another baby, and the system has a right to take the child because they believe she cannot acclimatize the child to Denmark
Danish culture.
To Danish culture. There's so many things that people, I laugh when I see people of black heritage do. Whether we like it or not, that racist thing, even though it has been played down over the years, but
You
I
are still
see
black.
it
That's how they see
played-
you.
I still see it in some places I have gone in the world, that there's that silent supremacy of the white. And at the end of the day, when they use you to go against your people, every human being needs a community, whether you like it or not.
No, I don't think
She is a black British. Imagine if her parents that said Nigeria impoverished them did not even have enough to be able to give birth to her.
Honestly, right? I don't.
So what would that?
Let's not say karma will catch up because it may
No,
never.
I'm not even saying. I don't even think karma
The
will.
thing is,
anymore.
most times I do understand. I mean, I believe what Lolo is saying because sometimes when I hear Kemi Badeno, honestly, what comes to my mind is a white movie where they just cast a black person just for inclusivity. And then the black person is the first to die in season 2.
No, we don't even make it season 2. The horror movie, you care the first people to
You are the last person running, but no matter how smart you are, it's like, black people are the smartest, why are you dying first? So at the end of the day, it's you are a pawn in the whole play, right? So no matter how you think you're dissociating yourself from us, that's how they see you. They can never see you beyond a Nigerian that you are.
She might be in the history of things. They would say that a black person spoke against the people, or a black female.
Well, talking about
there's
history,
so many
let's look at
history.
history. Is the history, if you look at how Africans left the shores of Africa and went, it started with the black person selling out their black person. So if talking about history, and if history is repeating itself in wearing several cloaks.
Well, don't tell our problems to us. That one hits me low.
It's a low blow. Take us to a break.
Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to take us on road. All right, it's time for us to take a break, but when we do come back from the agreement on the 50% equality sharing formula for the VAT, to calls for adjustments in the proposed bills, President Bola Tinubu's tax reforms have sparked diverse reactions across the country. And while some view these changes as a pathway to equity and development, others are concerned about the potential burden on taxpayers. We'll explore all these nuances and everything when we come back. But we'll be talking this with our guests when we come back, who will be sharing insights into how Nigeria can achieve a tax system that is both efficient and fair. Let's talk Nigerian governors make a U-turn on tax bills with Tunji Andrews, economist and founder our bar, right after the break. Engaging topic.
Welcome back to the show. Just like we said before, we went on a break. Today, we are going to delve into a critical topic that affects every Nigerian, and that is tax reforms. The Tinubu administration has embarked on a comprehensive review of its tax policies, the aim to address inefficiencies with previous policies, ensure equity, and improve the country's revenue generation. Nigerian governors have now made a dramatic U-turn to support President Bola Tinubu's tax reform bills. A key development is the request from the 36 state governors for a revised value-added tax, VAT, sharing formula. The proposal allocates VAT proceeds as follows: 50% based on equality, 30% based on derivation, and 20% based on population.
Now, this consensus emerged after extensive discussions to address concerns, particularly from northern states, regarding the initial proposal, which suggested a higher percentage for derivation. This revised formula aims to ensure a more equitable distribution of resources across all regions. Despite this progress, the National Economic Council, NEC, has recommended the withdrawal of the current tax reform bill to allow for broader stakeholder consultations. Now, this step is intended to align the reforms with the interest of all parties involved. Joining us now on Jasiri to help make sense of all of this is Tunji Andrews, economist and founder of Awaba. Tunji, welcome to Jasiri.
Thank you for having me.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
He's looking white. No one should stain this white, right? You know, we end this conversation with an unstained white.
Welcome to the table.
Thank you. Thank
All
you
right,
for
so
having me.
I think it's always good to lay a foundation for conversations like this. And the majority of economists and analysts we've spoken to have said it's past time to reform Nigeria's taxation system. We had We had Taiwo Idele also sit at the table and explain the ideas behind what the Tinubu administration is trying to do. One thing I think is still very necessary is really letting the people to understand the why and the implications of failing to do so. So Tunji, let's start from there. Break it down as to the why this is an idea whose time has passed, and what are the implications if we continue to have a situation where we refuse, not that we're unable to, but that we refuse to actually update our taxation, our laws and policies, and do the necessary reforms?
I think the first place to start with is revenue for the government. And revenue is, of course, what we use to create roads, fund hospitals, fund schools, and the rest. For the last, say, maybe 15 years, it's steadily declined in real value in terms of naira compared to dollar. It's declined steadily over those years. And the major revenue earner, which was crude oil, oil and gas, has also continued to shrink over that time. And what we've seen is that there's been a trade-off. So there has been revenue, shrinking, borrowing increasing, because you have to, fund your budget. Also, we have consistently seen over that period, maybe 10 years, that our budget in dollar terms has consistently been about $30 billion. In naira terms, it increases, but in dollar terms, it has remained $30 billion. What that says is that our spending in relative terms has remained the same. Our revenue has continued to reduce, and we need to fund it.
But the demand on that revenue has increased with our birth rates and all that.
So we look at our debt to GDP ratio. It's probably one of the smallest, compared to economies like ours. So yes, it is long overdue. But the thing I think the average Nigerian really needs to understand is that if we do not do this, and this continues to be said, right, over the years. I do remember a video I shared again of former CBN Governor Sanusi Lamido when he was talking during the previous attempt to remove fuel subsidy, and he was saying this government can continue to pay fuel subsidy, but the next one, we can continue to, in fact, we can continue to pay 5 years, but the next one is going to hit, troubled waters. And everybody was like, nah, we don't care, and we're here now. We're here. And if we do not do it, I dare say that maybe in another 5 years, we'll be seriously in troubled waters.
Are we not in troubled waters? We've been in troubled waters for a while.
You do not want to see what this troubled waters I'm talking about is. So for instance, Nigeria has never defaulted on its debt obligations. Once we do that, even that borrowing becomes difficult. We can still borrow now, right?
Yeah.
Once you default,
everybody closes the door.
TJ, I'm listening, and I know that Nigeria is a peculiar country. But some aspects of these tax reforms are proven to be quite controversial, receiving pushback from vested parties, particularly the northern governors and some elites, and the overall Nigerian Governors Forum in some way. Because no matter how they bring a new policy, they will push back. Then they will come back to the table and reach a consensus. Last week, the Nigerian Governors Forum said it's okay with the new VAT sharing formula, which allocates 50% equity, 30% by derivation, and 20% by population. The derivation would move up from about 20% to 30% and down from the 60% proposed by the Presidential Tax Reform Committee, headed by Taiwo Oyedele. Help us to break it down. Because when it comes to this adequate data, when they're putting things on percentages, it becomes very tall to understand by the average Nigerian that, okay, what are we really saying here? What is this address of equity between the states? Is it that some people want more, or is going to give less to some? Imagine Lagos State is populated. Won't Lagos State feel as if we pay more, we contribute more,
but we're sharing equally with everybody?
We're sharing equally with everyone. We don't want that. What are the peculiarities of this equity?
So first of all, it's politics.
Of course.
And everybody's trying to get a bigger share of the pie. The current formula being put forward is one where the more you make, the better for your state, right? So
So the
that
less you make, the less you
naturally,
take.
naturally. So that would favor states like Lagos, Port Harcourt, River State, commercial cities across the country. But this new formula is then putting into weight of things like population, which is what some states have in abundance.
So how do you have a population that then does not get you the same numbers?
No.
That is a question. That is a question you should ask. That is a question you should ask, because the formula that is right in front of us before this new one is being suggested was one that was meant to spur productivity. So if you were making a certain amount and you want to increase your own share of the national pie, you create more infrastructure, you create more industry, you attract more foreign investment. It's really a drive to, exactly. But this new formula is not very far from the previous one. It is one that if I have 17 children, I am better than you that have 3.
That might be working more than you.
Exactly. Even though those 3 earn, 7 times more than my 17 children, And the real context is, it all comes back to the factor of, I realize that population is my only strength, at least for now. So I have to hold on and die on this cross, rather than come back to the conversation of why should we go through using the revenue I created as against yours. I just generally believe a lot of the times we're not ready for the real conversations, but the real conversation is productivity. Nigeria is a grossly unproductive country.
I like how you say so. You just sound like somebody who's reporting a child's experience. Your child is grossly badly behaved. and that's a badly behaved child.
We're going to stick here, and the reasons are plenty. One, I'm hearing that they want to use the last census data. Which brings me to the fact that we have not had a census. How long was it?
No, now.
Over 10 years or something?
We talked
about it last. So you want to use old census data for 2025, 21st century problem.
Which included cows, by the way.
So you see how grossly unproductive.
So you want to use old data. You refuse to fund the National Population Commission to be able to give you relatively new data. And that also impacts the way you budget, because budgets are made to be made for the people you have counted. So we've been doing all these budgets that are not possibly counting the amount of people. So now we're at a tax formula that you still want to use from 10 years ago data, 12 years ago, I can't even remember, but I know it's over a decade now, that we had a census. So when you say it's political, yes, it might be political, but are we even a serious people? And even the governors who are saying population is the only thing I'm holding, people have told them that this day was coming. For the longest time, you knew that model was unsustainable. So literally we've had governor after governor after governor after governor who's done nothing to bring many of their states up, maybe not completely to the level of Lagos, but at least to be somewhat competitive, viable, and even sustainably adding to the national coffers rather than simply taking.
Did you not hear when he said all these things are the definition? Grossly unproductive.
It's frustrating.
It is.
It is. And you can't take it away from the fact that the conversations in Nigeria are never conversations about a way forward. It's always about what can I get more from the pot, because I mean, I look at economies around us, and I look at some countries that are attracting a large amount of investments, and I'm puzzled. When you compare the productivity in that economy with what is happening in Nigeria, you just kind of realize that they've been able to channel theirs in such a way that signals growth. While here it's more, we are fighting for the same piece of the pie, and it just doesn't tell well of a 200 million plus population people.
Are we even sure it's 200 million?
Because listen,
those are what the official numbers say.
No,
which official numbers?
Oh my God!
All
right, so let's stay on the table, because let's look at what the northern states are complaining about.
Yeah.
And that's why I love watching period pieces. Listen, there's so much wisdom in there. Now, so northern states, they previously concerned about the derivation formula, and some say that this may not strike a fair balance for all regions, and everybody holds on to the population that they have. Okay, we are good in this. This is what we do. So if you are not up to par, imagine Bayelsa comparing itself to Lagos, for example. You can't. There's no level, but you're still looking to get as much as Lagos. So how does that? It cannot work. There's the mathematics is not mathematicking. So it would be like, so mine would be that how can this formula, this new formula now in place, strike a balance among all regions?
So we must realize where we're coming from that brought the initial formula. In the previous order of things, land mass was a critical factor in measuring what your economy is supposed to do, especially land mass in how much you're able to acquire in terms of sea land. So the amount of land mass you have also dictates how much into the sea you're able to exactly acquire. And that also speaks to how much of crude oil land that we have and all those many things. And that in that time spoke a lot to the North. So the North did us well in that period.
Yeah.
So, let's not knock the North too much. They've done us well in the past. Unfortunately, coming into today, the day and age, productivity, innovation, technology has now surpassed, and land mass isn't as a big factor as it used to be in terms of productivity. What we as an economy need to do is, and this is why we have a president. And then we have states. We need to think more in national projects. So Europe is doing something which amazes me, and it's one of those big projects that I think Africa as a whole need to start thinking about. So Europe is trying to do this connectivity across Europe states where you can connect everywhere through railroad and waterways. So you can go from Malta to France.
Do you think that can happen here?
This is the
Lagos Abuja super
highway. So
highway
we need to think about the kind of activity that is so large that it affects Lagos, but it affects Kano at the same time, affects Katsina and affects Nasarawa. Grand projects, and that for me is why. I think I've said it a couple of times. Is my biggest issue with the current president. I've always looked at him as someone who is very visionary, and I've heard him speak about before he came into office. Borrow, grow. So I thought when he comes in, we're going to see some great humongous projects. We're going to see a Dubai level project. We're going to change this, and we're going to get $200 billion and build this. That is the way forward for those kind of states, because they're so behind that you can't say, oh yeah, send your children to school. Okay, so that's what I was saying. Let's break it down using mathematical terms. Let's do with the formulas and everything. How will this formula ensure that the states that are more economically powerful can take care of states that are not as powerful and as most states will want to do that.
Thank you, please. How much taking care of?
I'm going somewhere. Because when you say that, okay, the Lagos Kano Rail and all of that, it shouldn't be so difficult that governors should sit down and map out a plan that can make this Europe vision that you say is going on. It shouldn't be, if we can start it in Nigeria, let's leave Africa, because Africa, our leaders in Africa are different countries.
Leaving Nigeria behind.
But what is it about us and about our leaders now at the state level that cannot sit at a table and decide how we can make everything favorable to? If you have 4 children and you know that 2 are more intelligent than the other 2, the other 2 have strengths that the other 2 don't have, because it's like that. No child is the same. You will try to make it in such a way that it is seamless and you can check and balance. Someone's strength is another person's weakness, but there's how you balance it as a parent. What is so difficult in doing this as a country? Looking at the states involved. We have 36 states. We all sit down there. I'm sure they exchange coffee and tea
and sit at table having discussions. Why don't we translate that into, guy, I know that your state doesn't have this. I have this. Let's work.
I don't want to
Would it not now
Tunji's
weaken the
question.
stronger
So the structure, understand, the previous structure created the leaders we have. The previous structure where the more people you have, the easier it is to get into office, created the leaders we have. So if you have a leader that is not thinking in a certain direction, understand that you created a structure that puts him in place, or her in place, as the case may be.
Which the case never is.
Yeah, but
We have to
the context is you can't expect to have leaders that are giraffes when you have groomed
hyenas.
exactly.
Okay.
You are producing what your structure has said you will produce. Understand that this is a structured order. No matter how you try, no matter how many
Conferences they attend.
you will always have the same kind of leaders, which is why I still go back to the president, because I feel a gargantuan dream for Nigeria could have buy-in from all the states. So it's so large that it will benefit you, it will benefit you, it will benefit him, and at the same time it's so big that a foreign investor is able to look and say, my God, they're trying to do this. I can fund that and I can make money over this period. And at the same time, it's able to create better life, it's able to create more jobs. And those states that are so behind are able to catch up really quickly, not generally because you start sending people to school, but because people now are able to live there. So for instance, think about it, it will be great for somebody to live in Ekiti and work in Lagos.
Yeah.
Do you get?
Cheaper.
That is infrastructure, that is the kind of money that goes into building such a project is so huge that no state governor can get it on its own.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thinking I have.
So, I mean, typically all of these reforms should be for the benefit of the average Nigerian.
Yes.
But unfortunately, and you're right in saying that it's usually about what they can get from it. I mean, I'm talking about those who are doing the governing, what they can get from it or how they can cover their tracks, right? So let's bring this back down to how this affects the average Nigerian.
Yeah.
And by average Nigerian, I mean the people who own the small and medium enterprises, the SMEs and low-income earners. How will this reform impact them?
So I think Taiwo Yedele has spoken a lot about this, speaking about the fact that you need to earn to a certain bracket to even start to be considered for tax conversation. So if you're earning 50K, even though I still think you should still be taxed, even if it's 50 naira, but if you're earning at that level, there's considerations for you. So the more you earn, the more you're able to pay for tax. That doesn't happen in the US, by the way. It doesn't happen in the UK. Think about it, it's the reverse. So that is great for the conversation of the average person. But what we need, and the problem really with Nigeria is we do not nearly have enough money to build Nigeria.
So we're not as rich as we think.
We're actually
thought?
borderline poor.
No, a lot of people think that there's just money somewhere.
We're actually borderline poor.
where?
We're borderline poor. Think about it, 30 billion every year for the last 10 years, and no year have we made enough revenue to fund $30 billion. Think about how sad it must be that every year you say, okay, we're going to get $30 billion. You beat your chest, you do the song and dance, you give the motivational speech, and every year you have to go and borrow more than half of it.
But is that also not related to corruption? Oh, this seems like a sideline, but isn't it related to corruption, gaps in the system, siphoning, mismanagement? If you got rid of all of that, would you still say we were poor or borderline poor?
Yes.
Really?
Unfortunately, a lot of the corruption of the past has done damage to today. The truth is there's not even enough to steal right now. That's how bad it is. That's how bad it is. So we're in the place where it's economically tight, for the government to even maneuver.
How do we make it loose now?
So that's the thing. You need to think outside the box. This is not management period. This is not the place where you say, oh, yeah, remove 2 naira there, remove 3 naira here. Even when we're talking about presidents, you know, the race to presidency, and you know, people were looking at, you know, people who look more like managers, people who are more frugal. I'm saying no. This is not that time. This is the time where somebody needs to go. You know the way the former US president said, we want to put a man on the moon. That is where Nigeria is right now. We're not in the management period. We're in the place where somebody needs to come and say, you know,
this is how you do it and does it.
You get, and then go and look for the money.
Yeah.
Because you need that kind of project to attract foreign investors. Because for me to come to your country, why am I coming to Africa?
Well, you know, there's a lot of unpacking to do here and a lot of introspection, because it seems that we have been on this table and we have never moved.
Yeah.
We have discussed this tax reform has come up. So it came up towards the end of last year, and we have been pushing this agenda. We've been seeing a lot of back. We had the main man here to discuss with us, and we're still talking about it. To be, instead of us to have moved towards the implementation and to see what we can even do. I know when we say this politicking, it's destroying a lot of more things. Anyway, I wanted to say Nigerian governors who initially opposed President Tinubu's tax reform, now that they've made a dramatic U-turn to support them, even though I know that a lot of underG moves must have come before we came to this support that is brazen and out there. Because those are the things that really confuse me. The things we see that are done to the back end, they are the things that need to be trashed. And they will come to the forefront. I will now do this. We have supported Kumbaya thing. No. If there are really things to fight and trash, why don't we do everything center forward and let us fight it out and get something good out of it? This just raises a lot of critical questions about the state of Nigeria's tax system, the role of the political consensus in driving this reform, and what this means for the country's economic future. Is this a step towards greater financial transparency and accountability? Because I see all the good things that this tax reform is really supposed to do, at least from what was broken down to us here. Or are there deeper political undertones at play? Because Nigeria, half of the time, if you ask any average Nigerian on the street, will believe that there's always an agenda. Yeah. There's always an agenda. There's always an agenda. But why can't the agenda not just be growth for the country?
I think the general thing that we need to remind every Nigerian is that if we don't do this, there's trouble.
The average Nigerian will tell you there's already trouble. Inflation is already over. There's already trouble.
Again, I still remember when we were seeing people go to Ojota. It looked like things were bad, right?
Yeah.
We would do anything to go back to those days
I'm
right now.
telling you.
Right? So it can get worse.
There's something you're not
even say. No, because when they say
this laughter is Nollywood.
Yeah. So I went to Ghana in the last week, and I will not lie to you, I could not buy a single thing because I was so ashamed of the naira. Do you know our money is nothing compared to Ghanaian cedis? Not to talk of the strength that Ghanaian cedis have against the dollar. I was just speechless. Because to buy one chips means I buy one chip that will buy 200 naira for 1,000 plus. Why would I want to do that? You wouldn't.
So I think the general context is there's no undertone. It's more, I feel sometimes that we do not realize how urgent this is. You know, this is something we should have done maybe 10 years ago. You know, so we don't realize how urgent it is because we're still able to go into the streets, we're still able to buy stuff, you know, that, you know, one or two things. You need to go and check the current prices of people who want to rent new houses now. You need to check the prices of vehicles now. You need to check the current, you know, go into the supermarkets and you want to buy food. And I'm saying that as bad as it is, it can get worse because the government needs to borrow. So a few weeks ago, the government went to the Eurobond market and raised a paper.
They said it was oversubscribed.
Yes, because it was highly priced.
Okay.
So it doesn't make sense. It almost felt like we were desperate. You know.
We are desperate.
That's my point. Think about it. So that the price on that paper scared me. We bought it, but I mean, point is, it's not something you see in the market.
It sent a signal.
It sent a signal. It's the same market that you have people selling same papers for 1%, 1.5%.
Yeah.
We're selling 10%.
That's how much we're willing to give.
You get.
So, on this issue, when you say go into the market, supermarkets, see how much people are paying, this and that, we've been doing that, and we've been very vocal about it. But it brings me to the next point of this conversation is VAT, the value-added tax. And the governors are saying that this is not the time, that it might lead to economic instability, that it might it's one of the things that will affect Nigerians the most. And so let's talk about that. How can we have these tax reforms without an adjustment to the VAT rate? They're saying we should maintain it where it is, at least for now.
No. Let's do it once and for all.
So Jimmy, Nigerians, let's do it. It's like you want to rip this band-aid off. You don't have first aid ready. Where's the first aid for Nigerians?
I think honestly, one of the problems we've had over the last 20 years is taking the pain piecemeal.
So
by the time you've taken a little, by the time the next time you're around to talk about it, there are other issues. There are new issues that you did not see the first time.
So you are saying we like this Nigerians because for Tolu to raise voice, Tolu she's the junior one. She never did. So that made all my antenna do like this. Yeah. So you're saying we should now brace for more pain and take the pain, the dosage once.
No. I'm saying that there are few things. VAT is probably the last threshold. We've removed fuel subsidy, we've removed subsidy, we've increased electricity tariffs. So that's the last threshold.
Increasing VAT.
That's the last threshold, really. Once we are done with that, it's now we've done our part.
So can I start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel?
No, it's not light at the end of the tunnel. There's also the part where the government now needs to do its own part.
So that's the problem with that Nigerians have.
Yeah.
The government is not ready to do its part.
And has not been doing.
They keep telling us to endure, keep enduring and sacrifice. If we finally agree that okay, VAT should be increased, we'll just take it on. We will keep hearing the amount of money they're blowing up there, and we are suffering and people are dying. So it's like they are not willing to compromise. But
if the government were here on this table, they would have said the same thing Tolu just said.
They don't have money. It's not my fault. It's not the citizens' fault that government does not have money. It's not the citizens' fault that government leaks money. It's not the citizens' fault that public officials are able to siphon money, mismanage money, and steal money. You have not addressed that, because a lot of the issue with tax compliance and being able to get rid of tax avoidance is a trust in the system.
Yes.
Nigerians don't trust their government. So you're asking me to give you more tax in whatever manner of way, whether it's my business, whether it's at the till at the supermarket, but you have not shown me your part of the equation. Where's their sacrifice?
We're working, show working, that's one. Number two, Nigerians don't ask for too much. Nigerians just want...
No, at all.
What do you ask for?
We actually do. We want cheap everything. We want cheap naira, cheap dollars. We want cheap petrol.
You see what irks us as Nigerians, being made to look like fools. You're telling us to cut back on a lot of things, but the government isn't cutting back on things. You're not cutting back on spending. You're not cutting back on allowances for loans.
And Nigerians are seeing it.
And you're not cutting back on things. The Nigerians are seeing it. If you were cutting back on things, there will always be that percentage of Nigerians who would still complain. You know that one, the village people is doing them. But you know that Nigerians just need to see that there is something you're bringing to the table, and you are thinking of them as well. Right now, Nigerians feel that we are a government onto ourselves. We are the ones that are governing ourselves.
And to be honest, there are a lot of Nigerians that no longer believe in the greater good, because it's like they are swallowing our greater good.
I wish they had 1 minute. You have 1 minute to respond to that.
I have no response to it, because the truth is, these things are a different conversation. They're a conversation around how you bring your leaders to being leaders. It's true.
Really?
No, there's no.
Some of our leaders grow legs and tails and run there, and we look at them and like, wow.
I wish I would have more time, because I even want to talk about Nigerians and when it comes to implementing. I thought they can say this thing on paper.
Tunji will return you to this chair.
But we have to return you to this chair.
No, because someone like Tolu would know. We've been talking about this We've been talking about this since 2015, 2012.
If they cannot
So
catch-
I'm gotten to the point where I've realized that Nigerians really don't care as much as they think or they believe they care. So let's fix the issue. So if you're not going to demand for better leadership, if you're not going to ask for accountability, then let's fix the issue. Let's leave that aside.
We're going because it's now that the ladies have woken up, but Tunji will come back because they say implementation is meant to be, I think, sometime in 2025, either Q1 or towards the end of Q1 or into Q2 of this year. But also there's going to be further and wider consultations. If we're going to do this thing, let's just do it.
Let's do
but
it.
Consultations remain. We will continue to consult ourselves, our experts and our analysts, as the guests who come on this show to continue to bring enlightenment on this topic. And on that note, it's a wrap for today. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 10 a.m. West African time. Be here because we'll be right here, ready for you on Just City.
I'll be square.